Oh, yes. Okay, this is great. Super Freak 1000 contributed to Super Chat. Thank you. And has this question. You've mentioned ideas on 3D modeling for printing. As a 3D modeler, I'm curious, what are your thoughts to improve drawings? Well, I'm so glad you asked. So as I've been getting into 3D printing, I am not very good at CAD. I plan to get good at CAD, but I am not there yet. So I am relying on other people's drawings for my printing right now. And I go out there on Cults 3D and Printables and Thingiverse and all the other places that are compendiums. And Etsy. I've bought hundreds of drawings over the past few months from many of you, I am sure, and I've been printing them up. And among the things I have been noticing is a wild variance in the quality of drawings. For instance, forgive me, I can't remember off the top of my head who is the author of this aliens belt grenade prop that I printed up from one of the services. But like, this is a gold standard of a magnificent STL drawing. Really, really spectacular. Crisp lines, really nice bevels. It feels like a cohesive part. And I don't mean this as a denigration against artists, but for the most part, what I see on most drawings out there are overly simplified shapes. Perpendicular joints, no fillets, no adjustments. Everything is very planar. And this is not the fault of the 3D modelers. I think this is a fault of the software interface. We are still, what's clear to me from the dive I've done into 3D printing and the models available in the last few weeks, what's clear to me is that the software interface from 2D to 3D is still the bottleneck in great CAD drawings. That translation is really hard to make. And people that do it well, people like our friend Andrew Barth or Daryl Maloney, like they have this ability to see in this frame that is really unique. The people who are truly excellent at it, like it's a far out skill. I don't have it yet. And so I really think that one of the big technological breakthroughs over the next 10 years will be some kind of new interface to do that translation between the 3D of an object, the 2D of a screen, the 3D of my eyes, and how those translations can happen. So just to be really clear, like the models I find are often quite primitive, but again, I don't think that's the fault of the modelers. I think that's the software interface. I also think that, no, I don't have any examples here. I also think that when you have all these planar forms that are joining each other at right angles, those are the things that 3D printers print looking the worst. Big, non-compound planes are the things that end up with that like classic 3D print sort of moire reflection, which again, I have bought pieces that use that to an advantage, but for the most part, I'd rather not have those artifacts on my parts. Now, the reason they're not on this part is because it was printed like this, and the bamboo carbon has this amazing ironing feature where it takes its hot end and just goes and smooths the top. That is a spectacular thing. But I do have some ideas about ways in which drawings could yield more interesting looking prints. And before I explicate my theory of this, I've actually been commissioning somebody to do me a pair of drawings of the same object in 2 different ways. And I'm going to print them out and I'm going to see what I think. And then I'll release a video talking about that. Because I think there is there might just be a philosophical frame about drawing that could help working with what 3D printers do well and what they do poorly. I know that's a little bit abstract, and I apologize for that. But that's what I am you asked me what my current thoughts are about improving drawings, and that's where they are. Idaho Art Lab asks a question. Do you have a software tool for organizing group builds that helps you delegate, plan for dependencies, and know what's been done, etc.? We often do 6 to 10 maker builds. Productivity software for building is effectively non-existent. I mean, you know, you can build a spreadsheet. You can use Pages, Excel, whatever you'd like. Those all work. Evernote has some fabulous tools for project management. I know, I still use Evernote. I still love it. I know I should export everything in case Evernote goes belly up, but right now it doesn't seem like it's going to. Idaho Art Lab, it's a great question about productivity software, because one of the things that I have been most surprised by, and I've been telling everybody this, because I want someone to solve this problem, and I want that person to not necessarily be me. I am not a software developer, but as a lot of regular watchers know, I've been recently obsessed with 3D printing. I went from 0 3D printers under my supervision 2 months ago to 5 or 6 now. I'm sorry, one 3D printer, the Form 3L under my supervision, but I had no other printers, and now I've got like 5 or 6, and they're all going a good portion of the time. And I believe in what 3D printing can add to my process. I'll show you. Like, I'm getting parts and pieces out of the Bamboo printer. I haven't even separated these out yet, actually. Hold on. Let's see here. There we go. I've been getting these parts out of my Bamboo printer that honestly feel like production parts, and they're so beautiful. And I am having so much fun. But here's the thing: many things that you download are like 20 and 30 pieces. And my Mac does not preview STLs as thumbnails, and neither does Adobe Bridge, which makes me so crazy. Adobe, can you get on this, please? In fact, sorry, the top line is, investigating 3D printing and diving into it has been really rewarding. I am shocked that there's no productivity software for 3D printing. Computer programmers, film editors, they have software that allows them to hold on to many, many little bits over here in multiple categories so you can access them easily and utilize them in your production process. That's literally the definition of like programming software or editing software. Musicians too. But 3D printing, where you have like 40 files and I can't look at any of them, I literally have to open every single one and then remember what its name is. For most of my elaborate printing needs, I am resorting to pen and paper to list out what I've printed, on what, at what resolution, and how satisfied I was with that. This should all be some easy addition to the Adobe software suite. Seriously, you guys are so primed to get this one right. I know you're watching the Apple keynote right now, so you're not paying attention to this live stream, but I hope when this goes up, somebody at Adobe listens to me and starts building some productivity software for 3D printing. Because, oh, and here's, sorry, I'm going to move on from this, but I want to say this about productivity software for 3D printing, and that is the biggest issue I have 2 huge issues. One is just keeping track of what all the parts are and what I'm printing and where and how. But the other one is I am often grabbing parts from multiple designers and cobbling together my own more accurate pieces. So I just did some ecto goggles where I grabbed a frame from one person on Thingiverse or printables. I grabbed some goggles from another person. I grabbed some thumb screws from a third person. Now I'm keeping track of all of these credits so that when I finally do a piece to camera about these, I'm naming the people that drew these drawings. But again, I want software that's tracking that. In fact, if I had productivity software for 3D printing, one of the most primary things I wanted to do is hold credit for every piece of drawing and attach that to that piece so that when I'm all done, I can print out a list of all the parts that were in that build, what printers they were printed on, when, in what filament, at what settings, and who drew that drawing. Credit is so important to that. That I feel like it should be central to the construction of that software. Hey, I've got all sorts of extra notes on this. Reach out to me, Adobe, we can chat. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to support us even further, you can by becoming a tested member. Details are, of course, below, but it includes all sorts of perks, and we're building them all the time. You get advanced Word and behind-the-scenes photos of some of our projects. Questions, you get to ask direct questions during my live streams, and we have some members-only videos, including the Adam real-time series of unbroken, unedited shots of me working here in the shop. They are weirdly meditative. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you on the next one.